Welcome to another After the Wreckage podcast. I'm Nathan Ross.
And I'm Melissa Ross.
And today we're going to talk to you about a topic that you want us to talk about. We're going to talk about how Mel, I suppose it's self-care, wasn't it?
Yeah. How did I navigate my self-care and my healing through the infidelity, post-separation and during our healing?
Yeah, so if you don't know our story, I had an affair. And it led up to a point where I actually left the marital home. So I left the marital home and you were left to look after our child and I suppose go on your own journey of separation, self-reflection, self-healing, self-defense, and all the selves that come with it while I was off doing my...
losing his mind.
Yeah, losing my mind and losing myself. And so you've asked, how did Melissa get through that point? So
we've had lots of DMs about that sort of journey for me. So we thought,
and I'm interested in this because even though I wasn't there for part of it, and then I came back, and while I was rebuilding and going through my own therapy, you were still going through the process of rebuilding and repairing and healing yourself as well.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in this.
Okay. Let's just give a bit of context to anybody that hasn't understood or doesn't know our background. So we've been together now for 12 years.
Yep.
We got married in 2018.
Yep.
A couple of years into that was when your affair started. And then it carried on for about 4 years.
Yep.
Eventually it all came to a head, didn't it? Because as much as you kept trying to come home back to me and get rid of the AP, you were still allowing contact. So intermittently she was getting in. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this.
You know everything, so we've been transparent.
Said with no sarcasm. So at intermittent points you'd made the decision to want to work on things with me. However, she was still in the background. And I think it had all come to a head, hadn't it?
Yeah.
Where the AP was kind of saying to you, if you don't make a decision and basically choose me, I am going to out you about everything.
Yeah.
So I think
there was a lot of conflict going on within.
You were backed into a corner, not giving excuses to you, but you were backed into a corner. So eventually you came to me and you didn't fess up to what had gone on and why you were leaving.
Nope.
His story to me was, I'm not happy.
The typical, I'm going to find myself.
I need to go around the UK and go and experience different gyms and go and experience a kind of single man lifestyle because he wasn't satisfied, he didn't feel fulfilled.
Basically, I just did a big lie.
Yeah, which was actually all code for, I'm going to leave you for my AP.
Yeah.
Because she's given me pressure and...
Yeah. And up until this point, there was lots of significant events where you knew I was having infidelity with this certain person.
Which I think has contributed to the process of me needing to sort of heal my inner wound, my inner trauma, because for a long time, you gaslighted me into believing things that were true into the fact that they weren't true.
Or things that you saw, you didn't see.
And I will delve into that, but that's a really critical part of my healing, is that for a long time you convinced me that things weren't true when they absolutely were. And I got to a point where I didn't even believe my own eyes, my own ears, my own thoughts.
I made you feel that you were going crazy in a way.
Because again, along the journey before Nathan left the home and we actually separated, there was sort of golden nuggets of the affair that I don't know if she had put in order for it to become exposed, or there was just lots of different times and points where what was going on was obvious. But you always had a plausible story.
Well, lie. I always had a lie to cover up and back up.
And when I say plausible story, you became very good at working around the situation and making it seem like there was a tiny possibility of what you were saying was kind of true.
Well,
I hung on to that hope.
And I used work a lot. We owned gyms at the time. I used lots of things around our work to justify certain actions and certain lies.
You also guilted me into thinking that any time I was preventing you from working or having an objection to you doing anything that aided work or that pushed us forward with work was I was the problem then. So I backed off because I didn't want to be the reason that work wasn't successful.
Yeah.
So you'd push me into a really convenient corner of, oh, if I keep going on at her about work so much, then eventually she'll shut up and stop hassling me about work. And again, the AP was all around work, wasn't it?
Definitely. So
that's a little bit of back history.
Yeah, which is important.
Yeah.
So let's start looking at then the tools that you used or things that you did that other ladies in or other wives in the same situation or thereabout can take away and go, I am going to try this, I'm going to try it, and reasons how and why.
Yeah. So I've got a list of things that I know that I absolutely did during the self-care process of us being separated, but also I suppose I could apply that to some of the things that I did once we'd started to rebuild as well, because I would say I'm a completely different person now.
Oh yes, which is great. And we talk about this though, don't we?
It changes you.
Yeah.
The pain doesn't define you and the infidelity doesn't define you, but you absolutely become two new people.
Totally, and you have to.
We have for the better, I would say. But I think because we've both been willing and committed to doing the work for ourselves, that's why now we're able to bring our best self to our relationship.
And which is why we can do this work. Because we've dug so deep into our whys.
Yeah.
Especially I have.
Yeah.
You've dug so deep into understanding and the reasons behind forgiveness, grace, that we've come, in a way, we had to go away to come back.
Yeah.
We had to die out to our old relationship and die to our old selves, in a way, and transform to come back with this new marriage, this new relationship, new identity, new people.
Yeah.
And if we say to people, like, if you knew us 3 or 4 years ago compared to what you know now, we are totally different people.
Yeah, I think
in a good way.
Yeah, I think I've got a level of self-confidence and self-assurance that I never had before. And I think it was because of my period of having to heal myself and be independent and strong and live by my own values and integrity that I now know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And there's that phrase in there, like, you never know how strong you are until you've got no choice.
Yep, which is
but
true.
that's so true.
Yep. So let's deep dive into what you did.
Okay, so I talk about like the immediate aftermath. Now, for some people, that is generally how it goes. That the affair is completely unbeknownst to the victim, and then all of a sudden there's some circumstance in which it's all revealed. Slightly different from me because I knew who this person was along the journey, and I knew something was going on. Although you would have me at points believing that it wasn't. It wasn't a huge shock when it did all come out. However, the separation was.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the aftermath, as in the immediate aftermath, as in like our separation. Because although this had been going on for a long time, I don't think at any point I had actually thought about the reality of us separating. Because we were
like we always say, you don't expect it to go this far, do we?
Yeah. We were always like each other's ride or dies. We always said like we were so in love, and I was, although you were having this affair, I still felt like there were parts of our relationship that were real. And I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but the times that were good felt really good, and I still look back at those times, even though I know what I know now, and think that was real. And people might say it wasn't real because he was living a lie. But this is how I know how conflicted you were, but also how much we had invested in each other.
Yeah.
So that was why the separation was such a shock to me. But I think recognising and validating the actual betrayal of what had happened, I had to let myself feel it.
Yeah.
I had to process it. I had to talk to close people. And now some people choose not to confide in anybody. Luckily for me, I had a couple of close friends who had been with me through the whole journey. So there was never any judgment on their part for my reactions or my decisions about things. If you're in a different situation, I would still encourage people to open up and find even just one confidant who you can speak to judgment-free. And that doesn't have to be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be...
A lot of people use us.
Yeah. It could be a therapist. It could be someone from your church or your place of worship.
Yeah.
whoever that is, I think it's so important to just have one person that you can rely on to vent, to offload, to sometimes give you a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
When I tell you, I probably didn't sleep properly for the entirety of our separation until probably the start of the year, which was just before we decided to reconcile. And I think what got me to that point was just making sure I put myself first, in the sense of I needed to try and get as much rest and downtime as possible.
Yeah.
So I made a point of my phone would go away after about 9 p.m. and I would put it on sleep mode. You and I were still in contact during this time. So there would be intermittent texts and love bombing and, you know, messing around with feelings and all this. And it just put me in a constant state of anxiety because let's be honest, and I've spoken about this before, just because you hurt me didn't mean I stopped loving you.
Yeah.
And that's really important to realise and recognise. And it's okay. Like, you don't have to hate your spouse because they've hurt you.
And I think that's how a lot of people expect
the reaction to
be, I hate you because you've done this. And this is why a lot of people are so angry in our comments, because they want to hate and they want other people to hate their significant other.
I hated what you did.
Of course.
And I hated the person that you'd become. But I knew who you were deep down. I knew the man that I married. And you could say, well, he changed. Yeah, he did. But he's also now changed again for the better.
Yeah.
So.
And I did. And we talk about this a lot with how men do lose themselves and change.
Yeah.
So
for me, I did get to a point after so many months of allowing you to play with my feelings. And when I say allow, I mean I would respond emotively. I would react. I would allow him to manipulate me, in the sense of I knew he was with his AP, but yet he would still come to me and say, well, you never know. There could be hope. You know I still love you. You know it's us. All these phrases that you would do to carrot dangle and keep me stuck and not able to move on. I think I did get to a point after a while where I was committed to
setting
boundaries because I knew that I would stay stuck otherwise. Nothing was changing. You were love bombing me intermittently.
And that's key, that is.
We'd have this love bomb and then kind of hatred cycle. So you'd love bomb me to get me back where you knew you wanted me. And then you'd go right back to your AP and put 100% in there, going on holidays, going on trips. So you would give me all the words of affirmation that you knew I craved and needed. And then all of a sudden, boom. Oh no, he's back off on holiday with her again.
And you mentioned that nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
And that's the key. That's a key sign that it's all just manipulation tactics, because I was giving you the words.
Oh yeah, but no action was done. It was, well, you know, it's just work and it works for now and she's helping me out and it'll be us in the end and all this stuff to keep you feeling hopeful. Yeah, actually nothing changed. I was still alone in my house every day with my child. So to try and be the best version I could be of myself for her, I got to a point where I was like, I've got to start looking after myself. I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't sleeping properly because I was just having this constant anxious feeling in my stomach all the time.
And when you'd see me...
Oh, the anxiety of seeing you, because I knew it would either be contentious, we'd either be having an argument, or it would be the other way, where you'd be, again, love bombing me, showing me affection, acting sometimes quite intimately with me. And I was allowing it. I had no boundaries whatsoever because I desperately wanted to feel that love from you.
And I suppose, even though I wasn't in the house, for some people, they probably wake up when the significant other's when they're still living together, they probably wake up with that feeling as well, which we know about when we've spoken to clients before. They wake up feeling anxious. I used to come to the house and you get anxious, but most wives wake up feeling anxious, feeling like it was a bad dream, but then reality hit. That's terrible. Waking up and having that realisation of, oh, it wasn't a bad dream, this is actually my reality. But after, I'd say, about 5 to 6 months of allowing that situation, of allowing you to manipulate me and control my emotions and, love bomb me and pick me up and drop me so I wasn't able to move on, I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to allow that anymore because I needed to put myself first. So
little things like I just said, I put my phone on sleep mode so no messages could come through in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Because again, occasionally you would do that, and it would end up breaking my sleep pattern. So I got into a good sleep pattern. I made sure that I was eating properly because, again, when you're going through trauma and stress, you completely lose your appetite. Yeah. So I was finding that I was cooking for our daughter, but I wasn't eating. Mm-hmm. So I was committed to doing cooking proper meals again for both of us, and also getting back into the gym.
Yeah. Because
I didn't go to the gym for the first 5-6 months of our separation because I just felt like I was low on energy. I thought, what's the point? I was in a bit of self-pity mode. And you could say, well, you deserve to be, but...
That's your opinion.
Do you disagree?
No, I mean, that's their opinion. No, that's your opinion. No, what I mean is, if they want to think that, that's fine, that's her opinion. But a lot of people can relate to this because you don't know how you act until you're in it. Mm. Okay? And so while people might go, well, you deserve it because you were X, Y, and Z, until you've been in that situation, it's really hard to know how you would act. Yeah.
So I wasn't putting myself first at all, and I had zero boundaries. Mm. So every time you'd give me a glimmer of love, hope, affection, adoration, or you tell me something that I wanted to hear, I lapped it up rather than seeing it for what it was. Mm-hmm. Manipulation in order to keep me stuck. So I did do things like I committed to going back to the gym, working on myself, and interestingly, the correlation between keeping promises I made to myself and my confidence building was undeniable. Yeah. The moment I started putting myself first, me and my daughter first, and thinking, do you know what? You're going through what you're going through, leave you to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm now a priority. That, coupled with being consistent in the promises I've made to myself, I think my confidence started to come back a little bit.
And I noticed that.
And you noticed it.
Yeah.
And not to say that this was a reason to get Nathan back, because at this point, I had no hope whatsoever. I think I'd lost that hope that he had promised me. And by sort of 6-7 months in, I was like, I'm going to have to accept this situation. He's not going to leave her. This is what it is. Yeah. And how do I want my life to look moving forward? Yeah. So really simple, basic things of hydration, sleep, eating properly, and actually having quite easy boundaries to set in terms of my phone and how much I was allowing myself to have contact with you. And I'll also go back to that.
Social media.
Yeah.
Like not being on social media as much really helped, because you get into a pattern of seeing negative things, don't you, when it comes to affair, infidelity, repairing.
Yeah, we quite quickly unfollowed each other on socials and had each other.
But I don't even mean from that side, because that was a boundary that we, in a way, it's a bit of a game, but also it's a bit of a boundary you can set in place. But more so about when you're going through this, you want to search for hope. And you want to search for a bit of glimmer of hope, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. And also we compare ourselves to everyone on social media, don't we? So whilst you're seeing everybody else having an amazing Christmas and taking the kids on holiday, I was drowning in my own emotion, thinking, why is that not my life? Yeah. But also you're looking for hope and a bit of glory, as they say. So you start following people that know about infidelity. You start following people that know about affairs and their spin on things, and you think, oh wow, and it can consume you, can't it? Social media. Yeah, I completely came off social media. I didn't post anything. I didn't, and again, it was a contentious thing at the time that we unfollowed and blocked each other on social media. But I think it was for the greater good. Yeah. That I wasn't able to see what you were doing all the time, especially when you started to post about your AP. I didn't need to see that. That wasn't helpful to me at all. No. So moving on from that, the next thing I was trying to think about in terms of rebuilding was, again, working on my self-worth. I had, and I'm speaking frankly here, I had allowed you to put me down for so long that I started to believe the things that you'd said about me, that I wasn't driven, that I wasn't motivated, I wasn't consistent. I'd start things and then not continue with them. That takes its toll after a while. So I bought myself a journal. This was like
New Year, because like New Year, new me. Everyone goes and buys a journal. But it was just the timing for us that I thought, do you know what? I've got to change, because if I don't change now, nothing's going to change. So I went and bought myself a journal, and I started every single day journaling my feelings, whether it was anger, hurt, upset, frustration, feeling hopeless, feeling hopeful. And I've still got that journal. And sometimes I will go back and read some of the crazy stuff that was going on during that time, but you realise how far you've come. And actually, I think being able to offload my thoughts and feelings during that time was really important. Again, I had a couple of close friends that I would speak to, but again, they're not always going to be available at your beck and call when you need to offload. So I had to find an internal solution that worked just for me, that I didn't rely on anyone else for. So journaling was definitely
and we talk
a tool,
about this, don't we, in our
in rebuilding my identity. Positive affirmations about myself, that I was a good mom, that I was loyal, and thinking about all of the things that I was, rather than again focusing on, because some of the things that you'd probably said to me over the years had some element of truth, but I think over time it had got to a point where I had such a negative opinion about myself that I didn't even know who I was anymore.
And I think that really follows through then into, yes, when you start repairing your marriage or your relationship after infidelity, but you're also repairing the years of disconnection. And that's what we talk about a lot, because yes, the infidelity is a manifestation, but it's the manifestation of the disconnection. And so when you rewind right back, for us, it was me and you, well, me putting you down for so many years. And
also us never having any quality time, because work was at the forefront. It was the most important thing, because it was our livelihood. I wasn't working at the time because I was at home with our child. So it was an all or nothing mentality. And when we say all or nothing, we mean it was everything for work and nothing for anything else.
Definitely,
But I think because of that opened a window to you feeling disconnected from me, and then feeling this artificial connection with somebody else who was there at that time to kind of feed that that void, so to speak. So, post journaling and setting physical boundaries for myself, i.e. with my phone, and doing things to rebuild my self-confidence, getting healthier. Even if it wasn't going to the gym, it was going for walks. I made a point of meeting up with a couple of friends that live locally to me, and on the days that you'd have our daughter, I'd make sure that I went and did a long walk, or something outside is really grounding as well, because this was all throughout the winter time, and it's you can feel the need to hibernate
winter in the UK.
It's grim. So definitely being outside helped as well, going on long walks just to clear my head, especially when you and I had potentially had a fractious altercation, just walking just to clear my mind. And I think also, I'd got to the point where, because I was starting to accept the situation, and this is where I think the shift happened, because you saw that I was starting to accept the situation, you and I started getting along better. I stopped being so bitter.
And I remember that day where I came in the morning to pick her up for school, and I felt that was the turning point where we started there was no conflict.
No, I kept saying to myself, what do you want the outcome to be? And we do talk about this with couples. When you're communicating, what do you want the outcome to be of that conversation? And if what you're doing isn't leading you to that resolution or that conclusion, then you need to stop and change your route. Because the way that I was reactive and highly emotive, and you could say overly sensitive, I think I had a right to be sensitive, but all of those large reactions and emotions that I was having to you were not getting us anywhere. Not to say that I didn't have those big emotions, but I chose not to display them to you. I had my friends as an outlet for that.
And we talk about that, don't we? About setting a boundary of neutral response. Because when your partner or whoever is having an affair or choosing to still be in a relation or contact with the AP, then it's about setting strong, neutral boundaries with your emotions. A
big one I've written here is saying no without guilt.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain that. leading up until, again, when I decided that I was going to start putting myself first, every time you would love bomb me, in the sense of not just with words and, you know, telling me all these lovely things about me and how you felt, opportunities for us to spend time together, almost like we were the family that we used to be. That was beneficial for you because it got rid of your guilt.
Yeah.
It was kind of beneficial for Emerson if we weren't arguing. It was not beneficial for me, because every time we did that, it was a huge step back, because it was a false reality. We were walking around having family time as if we were together, but we weren't, and I knew the whole time you were speaking to your AP, who also didn't know that you were with me at the time, so you probably weren't fully present either, because you were, again, aware of the stress of the fact that she doesn't know where you are and that I'm with you. And I got to a point where you were still trying to invite me to things or do things with me as a family. And I thought to myself, this isn't beneficial anymore. We've got to change how we're acting with each other. We're not at the place where we can have a family dinner, as in Emmy's mum and dad, and it be calm and civil. Although I was being civil with you and not reactive, those times where we were spending time together was artificial, and it was stressful, and it was almost like a torment for me.
And I felt I suspect it was more like it was rubbing in your face.
Absolutely, because
after that I'd leave.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the life that I used to have.
Yeah.
And now I knew that he'd drop us home and he was going right back to her. And I remember at times you would say, like, that as if like we were acting like we were doing something wrong, because you obviously had your loyalty to your AP at the time, and I remember I kept saying to you, but we're the family.
That was quite a big thing, wasn't it?
We're the ones that are married. How can you feel like you're being disloyal to someone when I'm your wife?
Yeah.
So those whole circumstances were just a huge torment for me, and that is the word. It was tormenting, because it was making me stuck in a situation that wasn't my reality. So I learned to say no without feeling guilty. And I know at times...
That's strong and powerful, that is.
I know at times you tried to make me feel guilty about it. Well, what, don't you want Emmy to see us together as a family? Wouldn't it be nice for Em if we could get on? All these, again, manipulation tactics, because it soothed your guilt.
Of course it did.
It didn't help me.
No. It made it do worse.
Everything that I did up until this point, I think, had changed me. And I think that's when you really started to feel me pull away. Was that scary for you?
I wouldn't say scary, but it was more so that the control I thought I had started to disappear. And then I suppose you start to question then about, what do I really want? And this is one of the things that I think happens in that transition of you start to think, what is actually more important? Like,
I remember
the 10% that the AP does for you, and that life you've got, or the 90% of the life you had that you miss. And I'll give you a perfect example. It's things like waking up in the morning with your family. You miss. Having your wife next to you and then going into your kid's bedroom and seeing them sleep, or at night time watching them sleep. It's having that leadership as a dad, but as a husband as well. Because you have no responsibility when you leave the house and you go with your AP. There's no responsibility apart from when you pick your child up.
I remember asking you the question, where did you think this was going to go with her? Because I remember asking you questions like, are we getting divorced? Are you going to marry her? Are you going to have more children with her? And your answer was always like a categorical no. Absolutely not. And you know what? And this is another thing. We were never getting divorced, according to you.
But you know what? And this is probably for the men that are watching this, that
you live day by day.
You don't go out for the intention to end up 3 years down the line. It starts as she makes me feel good. Emotional affair. A bit of physical affair as well. Lots of physical affair. We're in a relationship. And before you know it, the one day that you had an emotional affair or a talk,
or an inappropriate comment,
or boundaries crossed, a text message or something like that, you end up down the line where you're knee deep having a full-on affair, which you didn't even think was going to ever happen,
Which I think I always held on to, that I knew you loved me, and I don't think that you went out to seek to hurt me, or to destroy our marriage.
No.
I think it was that you'd become a shell of the man you were, and you had to become that to accept the situation of what I suppose she offered.
But also, you got to remember that with ego and pride and stubbornness, that's a driving force.
Yeah.
And again, when we talk about men's why, that mask wearing, conflict avoidance, trying to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I didn't want to upset anyone.
Yeah.
So I was just literally going down the rabbit hole more and more and more and more. So
I remember having lots of conversations with you about the whole thing of you were living day by day. You didn't know what the future was. And I think
it's so true.
Yeah. And that's why I think we'd got to that point where you were starting to see me transition, and you were like, hang on a minute, what is my future going to be if I stay in this situation?
And I think your transition made me question actually what the reality was. I was living it.
And I have said this to people before that I've spoken to about this, that I feel if I'd implemented these strong boundaries, not only with you, but for myself, would it have made you come to the realisation sooner? I'm not sure. But with the space of time between me becoming this new assertive, strong person with very clear boundaries, no nonsense tolerated, to you having this aha moment, I feel like it probably would have brought it forward.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that will happen with everybody.
No.
But either way, it was a win-win for me.
Yeah, but we're also very much in the belief of timing, aren't we? And
well, whether we worked out or whether we didn't, I was still a better person.
Yeah, of course. But also the whole thing about as well that, and if you've ever had a one-to-one with us or a couple session with us, you will always hear us say that you can become a lot stronger. And we've become a lot stronger as a couple, as a family, because of this incident. Are we saying that you have to go through infidelity to become a strong couple? Not at all. However, what we always share and we always talk and preach about is that this event, in a way, was a good thing for us because it's made us appreciate, it's made us understand ourselves, but it's also made us have a clear vision of where we want to go together as a family. We've
really pulled back all the layers of who we were and bad habits, bad traits that we both had before the infidelity and post infidelity, and we've really stripped it all back, and now we really know who we are individually and together as a couple.
Go on.
I was just going to add to that about learning to trust my gut intuition again.
Yeah, it's strong, women's intuition.
We talk about this as well, that obviously it's not 100% reliable. However, I think
99.9%.
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
Again, through the gaslighting and the manipulation, I had learned to ignore my gut instinct of what I knew was right and wrong, what I knew was going on, what I chose to ignore, and I refused not to listen to my gut instinct during that time. And again, that definitely contributed to my self-confidence because I trusted myself again.
Yeah.
I trusted that I was making decisions that were best for me and our child. Whether they were the best decisions on your behalf, that wasn't my responsibility at that time because we weren't together.
Yeah.
And I think part of me was still acting as if I was in a relationship. I always had loyalty to you. I never dated. That's a different conversation. But yeah, I definitely didn't act as if I was an independent single woman. I think I was still holding on to the fantasy of I still wanted to be your wife and I still wanted us to have that unit of
you're
family.
a very loyal person, aren't you? So until probably the divorce, that we've really gone down that route, you probably would have been like that up until that point anyway. Because that's the type of morals and standards you had. You never dropped your values, your standards, your beliefs, your morals.
No.
Even like post and up until now, you've never dropped them. No. And I think that's your character. And so when we got back together, what were some of the boundaries that you set in place to ensure that you felt that you were able to not trust me, but keep me at arm's length while you were still protecting yourself?
there was never going to be a possibility of you coming home or us rebuilding whilst you were still in contact with her. So again, we had a conversation about this prior to anything happening, that because again, I valued myself and I didn't want to put myself in a vulnerable position of allowing you back in and then for you to, for want of a better word, screw me over. So we had a conversation that absolutely no rebuilding was going to happen while the AP was still around. So I said to you, you need to move. Whether that was back in with me, whether it was somewhere else, it needed to be somewhere away from her that she didn't know about. I said to you, contact needed to cease, and I needed to see you cut that contact. I needed to see you send that message to say it's done, it's over. I needed to see you block her on everything. I needed you to delete any existence of her off your social media, which took you about 5 days because you were posting with work and whatever.
Change gyms, change routine.
Change gyms in the sense of you used to go and train at lots of different gyms, so I didn't want that association of you. And again, I don't even think this was a case of I was demanding and you were just doing as you were told. I think we were both in agreement that whatever boundaries I was setting, you were happy to meet them.
But also, I was happy and I wanted to. Because I knew I'd lost myself so much in this arena. And this is one of the things that I think most men don't realise, that until they start to rebuild and repair, that you become very grateful for the structure of
normal life
and being told what to do. Because while you weren't a dictator to me, I was a broken man.
We'll talk about that in a minute, because I feel like there were certain points of our healing journey where I had to pause and support you.
I think that's a different podcast.
I think
that's a different podcast.
That will be. And sometimes that can be frustrating for the person who is the victim of the infidelity, because you're like, hold on just a second.
Why should I have to?
Why am I having to pause my healing to take a step back so you can heal? But we speak about this every single time we have conversations with clients, that you can't heal your relationship until you heal yourself. So that brings me
from the man's point of view. That
brings me to therapy. Again, one of my boundaries for you was, I want you to go and explore. Why? It's no good you just telling me you're not going to do it again. You'd bullshitted me for however many years, my language. Your word meant nothing.
No,
I needed action.
But I knew the power of therapy, because as a therapist many years ago, before we got together, I knew what therapy could do. And so I was like, I'm up for this. And so I went for therapy. And I remember, and I won't go into it too much, but I just remember every time coming back drained.
Sometimes I respected that it was your time, and I never probed you about what you'd spoken about, but sometimes you come back and share elements of what you discussed. Not always, but occasionally. And then we delve into difficult conversations that weren't necessarily about what you'd spoken about, but those prompted other things, potentially triggers that I'd had or questions that I had that hadn't been completely explored. And that's where that list of questions came in.
And I think it's really important that people watching this realise that it's the man's job, when they start to become the leader, they start coming to bring the conversations, rather than you having to ask. I'm having to be open, and that's really important.
I think during that time as well, that list of questions that I had for you wasn't necessarily a list of things that I didn't know the answer to. It was a list of things I needed you to take full accountability for.
And I think that's then leads on to about being transparent, that leader questions, and that leads on to about the honesty, but also transparency. And I think it's really important that, because what we're talking about really is about the process that you've set in place to set your boundaries, the process to set your healing. Because when we start talking about then being transparent, and that's more about moving the relationship forward, isn't it? And so what would you say is, as we recap, as we really come to the end of the podcast, what would you say is your most top 3 important things women do to feel safe, set boundaries, and to ensure that they're able to look after themselves through whether the guy's looking to rebuild or whether he's choosing the AP. What would you say are the most important things?
Prioritising self-care, number one.
In what way?
In a practical sense and an emotional sense.
Yeah.
So prioritising your sleep, however you manage that, eating properly, exercising, making sure that you're looking after yourself, because during a stressful time, the anxiety that you go through, the peaks and troughs of your hormones, all of that, your nervous system is a wreck.
It's fine.
You're not stabilised.
Yeah.
So anything you can do to contribute to your own well-being,
That's number
self-care,
one. Yep.
journaling,
Yep. Number two.
writing your feelings down. I sometimes talk about if you haven't got the time to journal or you're not particularly fond of writing, you can send voice notes to your friends. You could even send voice notes to yourself if you have WhatsApp, or you could send it to a Facebook account or whatever.
Yeah.
There's ways of going around voice noting. It doesn't necessarily have to be to anybody, but just recording your feelings if you're not big on writing.
Yep. And number three?
Setting clear boundaries in the sense of not feeling guilty for putting yourself first. So again, learning to say no without feeling guilty.
Yeah. I think them three things are probably what are
Trusting your gut again.
a lot of women and a lot of wives struggle with, because you lose yourself. Yes, the man's lost himself in infidelity, but you lose any hope, any sense of purpose, hope, the future. Your whole world's come collapsing down. Structure, routine, everything's gone out the window. And it's really hard to drag yourself back up, which is why therapy is important, which is why having a supporting network around you is important, people that aren't judgmental. But most of all, I think setting a routine and structure, like you say, journaling, fitness, walks,
meditation, yoga, if that's helpful to you.
That's really good for the nervous system. You went into massive yoga, didn't you?
I'd always dabbled in and out of yoga, but I did a lot of yoga during that time. It was really calming.
And I want to end on this because I think this is really important. You've always suffered with bad back to a point where your disc has collapsed, and we went through a stage where we were looking at surgery and things like that.
I've got degenerative discs in my back,
and it got better.
Yep.
When we talk about stress and we talk about anxiety, it affects your body so much.
More than you realise.
And one of the things that we noticed, or you noticed, that when we were going through this, your back came back 10 times worse, didn't it?
I had a really bad episode with my back.
You had a bad episode with your back.
And nothing that I'd done had brought it on potentially, other than stress.
Yeah.
I hadn't had an accident. I hadn't done anything. I wasn't
unusual.
I wasn't at the gym at that point, so I couldn't even put it down to something I did at the gym. It was just sheer stress.
And when we talk about manifestation in our bodies of stress, anxiety, pain and trauma, that was a clear, significant point where literally your body was saying...
It was a red flag.
Yeah.
Look after yourself.
Because you had drop foot, you had sciatica, you had the pain come back with your discs were coming back.
I couldn't walk properly.
And so it's really important that you really start looking after your physical, mental, emotional self while you are going through position of rebuilding or on your own co-parenting.
Yeah, because these things will apply whether you're rebuilding your marriage or not.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to make this specific for anybody that's going through trauma or has gone through trauma, whether they're rebuilding their marriage or not, because again, we're not here to judge your choices, but these are just the things that definitely worked for me and continue to work for me.
And this is the key, you still do it.
Yeah.
It's not like you've stopped, now we're all good. 3.5 years on,
you're
still doing it.
Yeah.
You still journal. You still do the gym. You still have time to yourself. You still go for your walks.
I still say no without guilt.
And you still say no without guilt. So it's really important that these aren't just things that you do for a certain time. You do them for a long time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing, because even though I know this already and we talk about it a lot with clients, it's really nice that we can have a conversation. People can hear that the outcome of what you do and how you are and how you've come out the other end.
Yeah. Don't let me tear up.
No, I really appreciate what you've done. So we spoke to a client today and he talked about grace.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of grace in what you've done. And there's a lot of grace in the pain and trauma you've been through to get to where you are now. And as a family, we appreciate you. So
thank you.
But guys, there is our podcast, After the Wreckage podcast. Mal's self-care. If you have any questions, drop them in a comment. I really hope you subscribe. Please share. Please comment.
I know lots of you are watching, which is great.
Yeah, lots of you do watch, which is great. But please comment, share, like, get our podcast out there as much as possible.
And our DMs are open.
DMs are always open. Mal's open for personal questions if you want to ask her personal questions. Otherwise, until next time, see you soon.
Bye.